Who is Abraham Hicks? Usually when you want to find out more about a person, you just go on to Google and type in their name and find out more about that specific person. With Abraham Hicks, it's a little different. So when you type in his name, Esther Hicks pops up. So Esther Hicks is an American inspirational speaker. More about that, it says Esther Hicks is an American channeler and author. She has co-written 9 books with her late husband, Jerry Hicks, presented numerous workshops on the law of attraction with Abraham Hicks publications, and appeared in the original version of the 2006 film The Secret. So going on with more things that they've written, they talk about The Secret, the law of attraction, which is incredibly popular in New Age. And then another one, ask and it is given, learning to manifest your desires. So when they say manifest, like usually what that term means is, it's like obvious. Like, if something's made manifest to you, it's just clear, it's obvious. That's not what they mean. So when they say ask and it is given, learning to manifest your desires, it's like basically to obtain. Just to clarify some words, channeler, that's basically what Esther is doing. I've looked up to, right away, they're, both of their last name is Hicks, so I'm like, okay, is this her father, is this her, uncle, grandfather, what's going on? So, they're not, there's no relation, Esther is basically channeling Abraham, this entity, and I'll talk more about that later. So the word channeler means a person who conveys thoughts or energy from a source believed to be outside the person's body or conscious mind. One who speaks for non-physical beings or spirits. And then biblically, so they talk more about mediums. So and what that is, mediums are an individual held to be a channel of communication between the earthly world and a world of spirits. So, and the Bible talks about mediums, and that's what that is. So, a few documents I want to read from. It says, Abraham has told us through Esther that whenever we feel moments of great love, exhilaration, pure joy, stoned out bliss, even the energy of sexual orgasm, when we feel that energy flow rushing through our bodies, that is the energy of source. So source is capitalized. And that is who Abraham is. Jerry and Esther never use the word channeling. Abraham reflects. It is used when applied to them, but they have never used it because it means many things of which they are not, you see. You can leave the channeling out of it, call it inspiration, that's all it is. You don't call the basketball player a channeler, but he's an extension of source energy. You don't call the surgeon a channeler, but he is. You don't call the musician, the magnificent master musician, you don't call him a channeler, but he is. He's channeling the broader essence of who he is into the specifics of what he is about. So they're just, going forward. And so, basically Esther's, saying, oh, I'm not saying this. Abraham, Hicks is saying this, yada, yada, yada. So continuing on, it says, Esther herself calls Abraham infinite intelligence, and to Jerry they are the purest form of love I've ever experienced. We say, check out Abraham for yourself. It's the only way to go and the only way to know. If watching or listening or reading the words of Abraham feels good to you, then you're in the right place. If they sound off to you, or maybe even a little annoying, adventure on. So finally I want to give some Bible verses, because a lot of people will say, in the New Testament how, people who claim to be New Age Christians and, would follow this kind of stuff, they'd probably make the argument of, well, Jesus said, basically, that whatever you want, ask for, that kind of thing. So I want to, shut that argument down right away, because, that could be easily, twisted out of context. So the reason I want to, shut that down. And I feel like that argument, people will just respond to that and, try to attack it from, or defend it, or, what have you, like from just, what Jesus said. But, I just want to, attack the root of that. So basically, channeling what, Esther is doing is wrong. And so people can try to, be this New Age Christian, or whatever you want to call them. They can, who believe in law of attraction, that kind of thing. And I've seen, seen YouTube videos on people who have come out of New Age, who, want to be Christian and all that. And so, they've been deceived by all this stuff, and they, come out of it, out of that deception, and they were, totally in the law of attraction, totally into manifesting things, in the, definition being, they want to obtain these kind of things. And so they come out of this kind of stuff, and, they see that they've been deceived. And so, I just want to attack it at the root of the whole issue, the whole matter, and basically say that, channeling is, as far as the Bible's concerned, God says not to channel. And so what Esther Hicks did in all this is wrong. Like, it's not biblically backed up. And, you can try to say, oh, Jesus said this, that, whatever, you want, basically you can have, kind of thing, and so I want to, pull up some verses that, will definitely say that, channeling or, mediums who, are channels, that's just wrong. And so, without further ado, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 31, give no regard to mediums and familiar spirits. Do not seek after them to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. And so if you remember, like in the Bible, like, Saul, he went to the, witch of Endor and, tried to get, her to bring down Samuel to them. And, they talk about familiar spirits and all that. And so, continuing on, Leviticus chapter 20, verse 6, and a person who turns to mediums and familiar spirits to prostitute himself with them, I will set my face against that person and cut him off from his people. 1 Samuel chapter 28, verse 3, and this is what I was talking about earlier, Saul consults a medium. Now Samuel had died, and all Israel had lamented for him and buried him in Ramah, in his own city, and Saul had put mediums and the spiritists out of the land. And then it goes a little further in the story in 1 Samuel chapter 28, verse 9. Then the woman said to him, look, you know what Saul has done, how he has cut off the mediums and the spiritists from the land. Why then do you lay a snare for my life to cause me to die? Then 2 Kings chapter 21, verse 6, also he made his son pass through the fire, practiced soothsaying, used witchcraft, and consulted spiritists and mediums. He did much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. So what do mediums and spiritists do? Much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. So, I mean? Like, I got 4 more verses I want to share with you guys, but, even those 4, like, you can see that God is not for this. God is not for spiritists. He's not for, channeling or, mediums who perform channeling. He's against this. And so I think it's very, clear and obvious, very manifest, if you will, that, God would be against what Esther Hicks has done here and some of the things that she said, even though New Age Christians, so-called, would defend what Esther Hicks is doing because they want to, and I would say, pursue their own lusts and try to, get the law of attraction and stuff like that. They want to obtain the world and, things that the world can offer them. So 4 more verses, 2 Kings chapter 23, verse 24. Moreover, Josiah put away those who consulted mediums and spiritists, the household gods and idols, all the abominations that were seen in the land of Judah and Jerusalem, that he might perform the words of the law which were written in the book that Hilkiah the priest found in the house of the Lord. So God is, calling it an abomination. 2 Chronicles chapter 33, verse 6, also he caused his sons to pass through the fire in the valley of the son of Hinnom. He practiced soothsaying, used witchcraft and sorcery, and consulted mediums and spiritists. He did much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. So again, that kind of reflects what happened, a couple of verses ago. And this is always with, soothsaying, witchcraft, sorcery. This is, it's all a collective. So two more, Isaiah chapter 8, verse 19, and when they say to you, seek those who are mediums and wizards, who whisper and mutter, should not a people seek their God? So that's what they're saying. Should not a people seek their God? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? And then Isaiah 19, verse 3, the spirit of Egypt will fall in its midst. I will destroy their counsel, and they will consult the idols and the charmers, the mediums and the sorcerers. So it's, again, a collective. Idols, charmers, mediums, sorcerers. So this is what Esther Hicks is, and the entity that Abraham Hicks is. So if you guys didn't know anything about this, I definitely want to give you that information. And then also, if you guys are interested, I do have a New Age testimony that I came out of. I wasn't quite into a law of attraction and stuff like that, but nonetheless, I still had New Age background. So if you guys want to check out that playlist, I can link that here. Have a good day.